Errol Barnett joins me now from Washington. Okay, Errol, the president has brought health care back to the forefront. As you mentioned in that package, lawmakers don't really have details. They don't know how much the bill will cost or how it will affect coverage. So where is the president's optimism coming from on this?
Well, there were some indications last week that there was some progress being made between the two factions of House GOP Republicans that essentially led to the last effort dying. The ultra-conservative Freedom Caucus and moderate Republicans couldn't agree on how to repeal and replace Obamacare last time around. And earlier this week, you got some hints from Republicans in Congress that they were able to agree on some of those sticking points that prevented the last deal from going through. This has led to a flurry of activity and excitement, a lot of hyperbole from the president saying things are going well, healthcare reform is going well, perhaps it will happen this upcoming week or not. But at the very least, Rena, he wants to show his constituents as we approach this 100-day benchmark that he's trying. It was a major failure for President Trump to be unable with a Republican House and Senate to get his #1 campaign promise through to repeal and replace Obamacare. And at the very least, even if this vote doesn't take place next week, even if we don't see a draft text to get a gauge of cost and change on health insurance premiums, it will show his base that he's doing what he can to get things done. So it appears to be at this stage a bit more wishful thinking, and Washington is waiting to see the exact text of what healthcare reform would look like.
Errol, we also know Congress needs to pass a budget by Friday. What's the administration pushing for, and is there any compromise you think Democrats might reach on this?
Well, what's interesting about that deadline is it will require compromise, which means Democrats will need to come along and agree on how the government spends its money. The one area we know already that Democrats could work with President Trump is on infrastructure spending, on highways, railways, tunnels, and the like all across the country. These are very easy issues for Democrats and Republicans to show their constituents that they will benefit from. However, when you look at some of the administration's other priorities, they want to see at least $18 billion in cuts, $1.8 billion to be allocated for the beginning of construction of a border wall. Press Secretary Sean Spicer on Friday indicated that those are priorities of the administration in this spending bill, in this government funding bill, but he also indicated that the White House would be flexible on some of those items. The priority for the White House is to at least show that it's making a delivery on the promise to do some type of immigration reform or illegal immigration reduction. But the compromise with Democrats would likely be around something like infrastructure spending, which, by the way, is a topic House Republicans are reluctant to jump on board with. So none of this is easy, but that deadline certainly is fast approaching. To avoid a shutdown, they've got to agree on many things.
Yeah, it's a big deadline. And Saturday, the president also tweeted out big tax reform and tax reduction will be announced next Wednesday. Why is he trying to cram this through when he's balancing so many other things? This is such a complicated issue.
It's all very complicated, and many of these big promises are connected. The reason House Speaker Paul Ryan had suggested to begin the Trump administration with an effort to repeal and replace Obamacare is because any savings made in those changes could have been put towards a tax reform plan, which President Trump has said and continues to say will result in tax cuts for the middle class, tax cuts for businesses. The money has to come from somewhere. So the strategy was do healthcare reform first, create some savings, use those savings towards tax reform. It's unclear why all of this is being discussed by the president now. He also sent out a tweet today saying that on Saturday, his 100th day in office, he'll hold a rally in Pennsylvania. Typically, those are celebratory events. The president will be keen to show what he's achieved. Press Secretary Sean Spicer has kind of detailed the number of executive orders he has signed. But on the large legislative efforts, the president has yet to have a signature policy. His travel ban continues to be held up in the courts. So the 100-day measurement is just a way for an administration to show what it can do as it hits the ground running when they have political capital at the beginning of their administration, and you want to have momentum going on from that. So the president will likely spin whatever he's achieved up until now at that rally on Saturday, despite saying that these are arbitrary measurements.
Errol Barnett, thank you, Errol.